Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my fabulous interviews. And of course, today I have a fabulous lady. She's been on the show many times, and often when she's on the show, we are talking about some of the terrible things that's happening to us. We try to put a smile on people's faces at the same time, but we are usually promoting an event which you may want to come to because it's going to be right up your street. In fact, if you're anywhere in the sort of the Derbyshire area, or anywhere sort of, it's fairly in the Midlands really, so that you could get to very easily, you could come to the event that has been now known as the antidote to the nonsense that's being pushed by the WHO and the WEF. Instead of the Great Resist, it is, instead of the Great Reset, it is the Great Reset. Oh, I made a complete ass of that, but never mind. Lovely. Liz Phillips is going to put me straight. Hello, Liz.
Richard, it's all right. I do it myself, and it's my baby, so I know just how you feel. Uh,
As I said, hopefully putting a smile on people's faces as they see me continually put my foot in it. However, we do this, and it is a fabulous event. I missed the last one because I was sort of double booked, but I'm very much going to be involved in the one coming up on the 9th of November. Liz, the Great Resist, where are we this time?
oh well, we're just outside Alfreton in Derbyshire, which is I think off Junction 28, about 4 miles off Junction 28 of the M1, and the lineup we have is absolutely unbelievable. And without knowing all the big names that are coming that people would know off the shelf, if you like,
Yes.
we've sold well over half the tickets have gone, and that was absolutely fantastic. But we've got like two bookends to open and shut. We've got two fantastic Yorkshiremen, Godfrey Bloom to open the proceedings.
Oh,
He's
wow.
opening the batting for Yorkshire, and closing it is Father John Dane, who is not only who is a retired priest now, but he was also a soldier. And as it's very close to Armistice Day, we're opening and closing with with Godfrey Bloom and Father John. So we've got the two
Fantastic.
Yorkshiremen. So we you can't say we're not looking after the country up in that half of the world.
No,
Um,
fantastic, yeah.
we've got another old friend of yours who we haven't had before, Gary Frown.
Oh,
Common
Gary, yes, he's
Law.
just come out with his latest book, which he sent me that only this morning. I had a big pile of books arrive actually this morning, and I was having a poke around in that. Yeah, oh, it's very good to see Gary.
But the way that Gary talks about common law, I wish I'd had Gary's books.
Mm,
And I've interviewed him too, Richard, but I wish I'd had his books before I launched into common law about 4 years ago, because Gary writes as if he's talking to you, as you know. And
yes,
he's so matter of fact, and you just get it in one, because it is difficult concept. You have to relearn everything you thought you knew about the law,
yes.
etc. So we've got Gary coming along to talk about common law. And then I don't know how he's agreed to come. Do you remember a man called Andrew Bridgen who used to be
Oh,
VMP?
yes, I
Oh,
do. Funny you should say that. His name does ring a bell.
well, I thought that. And we've got Andrew coming. Of course, it's very close to Andrew's constituency. We're just over the M1 really from him and where he was. The awful thing that happened to him
Yes.
with losing that seat, which is so I don't know whether he'll talk about that, but he is coming along. He is talking to us, as
The,
is Alan
well,
Shipper.
just before you go on to that, I just want to tell you a story that people won't really appreciate just how marvellous Andrew Bridgen can be. I was due to go to a place called the Barn in Ledbury, and something happened at home. My son had a seizure, and we were very concerned. And I rang up the venue saying, "Look, I may not be able to come." This was on the day because my son's had a seizure, so I had to go to the hospital and make sure he was all right. And the guy running it, he said, "Well, I might be able to get Andrew Bridgen to step in to do it." Then I get a phone call from Andrew Bridgen, who rings up on the same day and says, "Richard, I understand you've got a family emergency." And I said, "Yeah, well, it may not be an emergency, but I'm in the process." And he said, "Don't worry, stay at home. I'll fill in for you." Just like that. He's, had things to do, and he just said, "I'll fill in for you." As it turned out, my son wasn't as grim as it was a first thought, and I was able to do the gig. But Andrew, I mean, it was just quite bizarre that Andrew Bridgen would just say, "Look, I'll go to Ledbury and just fill in for you." And these are the sort of people that are the kind who are on our side, as it were, who will do anything for the right cause.
How we can lose a man like Andrew out of the House of Commons, I do not know. Um,
Yes.
and there has been nobody to replace him. Yes, we've got Reform that are doing a little bit of speaking up, but the one man really who stood up for the people out of 650 MPs, and we're fortunate enough. It brings tears to your eyes, really, because he's just one. I have met him, and he's just such a nice man,
Mm.
but a real man and somebody with a lot of backbone. And we're just so lucky to have him. And following on from him, we've got Ben Habib.
Ah.
Now, Ben is going to talk about the threat to Western democracy and is going to tell everybody really what the New World Order is all about. And
Mm.
as we're going to be broadcasting this afterwards, the more we can get out, Richard, on the devils that are causing all our problems, the better it is. And
Yes.
sadly, you can't get anybody in the House of Commons to talk about what is happening worldwide. You listen. And even some really good commentators on YouTube who interview lots of people, they still won't mention names or what is happening worldwide. But so Ben is coming as well. So we've not only got Andrew, we've got Ben as well. And we've got
Fan-
Alan Shipham. People like Andrew are now swearing by direct democracy. And Alan Shipham and Neil Petrie, we often have Neil. Alan spoke in Gateshead, and Alan's going to be speaking this time. It's his patch. So we've got Alan coming along too. And then we've got somebody called Richard Vobes. I don't know whether you know him.
No, I've heard that he is, a bit of an outlander.
Well,
He's new to the party, I think.
Absolutely. But the theme this time is making your elected representatives work for you. Now, the way
Right.
you and I can do it, Richard, is by doing it through the alternative media and holding these people to account, which we do. You do
Yes.
and I do. And we name names and say, look at the state we're in, and this person has done this, and this person has done that, etc. So to hold elected representatives to account, we can do it using our channels. Okay. And
Yes.
then we have two elected representatives who are coming along. Mark Taylor, the wonderful Scouser from East Anglia, who is Thetford Council Watch. It was Thetford Sovereign Council, but Thetford Council Watch, and Cassie Langford. Now, Cassie is the National Residents Association, and they've just scored a very big win in Swindon. You were talking earlier, Richard, before we came on air about Worthing
Mm.
and the mask going up.
Yes, the
National
5G.
Residents Association with Cassie have just in Swindon managed to get 3 out of 4 5G masts turned down. The planning has
Oh,
been turned
brilliant.
down.
I've had Cassie on the show before, so it would be great to, again, as people will know, I speak to a lot
Yeah.
of people, unfortunately, over Zoom, but it's very handy. So it's lovely to actually meet a lot of these people who I may have spoken to in person.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait to see her either in person because she really is a character.
A
But
live
people
wire,
like
yes, yeah.
her and Eileen O'Connor and Catherine McBean, Rachel Matthews, they're all absolutely fantastic, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I call them girls. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to these days, but
I think
compared to
so.
me, that's
I
what they
think you, I
are.
think you can.
And then we have an outbreak of Marks. We have Mark Taylor, I've just mentioned.
Yes,
And then we've got Mark Byford, the bowler hat farmer, who you were
splendid
up
fella.
with last weekend. And
Yes,
what a character! He wasn't
absolutely.
terribly well and didn't come to Gateshead, but did a video. But we've got him in person. I understand he's better, and he looked quite good with you on at the weekend, Richard. So
Yes,
let's
he
hope
seems
we've
to
got
be in fine fettle, I can tell you.
so we got Mark Taylor, Mark Byford, and Mark Steele. The
Oh,
event would not be complete if we didn't have Mark Steele and Nicholas Martin doing their bit with 5G, ULEZ, all these cameras, 15-minute cities, and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. But
mm.
Nicholas also is a councillor, so he is an elected representative and he does represent his people. So it's good to get somebody on that side. And finally, we have only a video this time. It's the only video I've got. She can't be with us because she's doing a training course. Dr. Sarah Myhill. Now, you know
Ah,
Sarah. I've known
yes.
her for many, many years, and she's talking about the winter vaccinations. So, anybody watching this, Richard, can I ask them to stave off having any sort of vaccination until they've seen the video, which we'll put out after the 9th of November? Because I think if you want to see that video, you'll understand what the vaccinations are all about, if you could
Yes,
call them vaccinations. So
that's
that
right.
really is the lineup. What a lineup.
Well, that is an amazing lineup, and they're all going to be in one place. And as I mentioned before, I mean, it's the chance for the ordinary people who are watching the show, who've got millions of questions. They don't have to go through people like me and you. They can talk to those people directly, which is fantastic, and they can hit and see them and feel the resonance in the room as people sort of as well as they watch these wonderful people give us a tiny fragment of their knowledge
Yes,
in
and
the time allotted.
the not so well known people, if you like, would grace the London Palladium, all of them, Richard. So it's not just speakers that are well known. Those that aren't particularly well known, they honestly would grace the stage of the London Palladium, and they're all great fun as well. It's
Mm.
not just doom, gloom, and despondency in this dreadful time we're going through. It's all right, up and at 'em.
Up and at 'em. So, do we know where this is taking place, the theatre, or is that under wraps until
No,
nearer the
no, no,
time?
no, no, no. The people there are absolutely wonderful. It's Riddings Park Community Centre, and I'll send over the details for you, which is just outside Alfreton in Derbyshire. Very close, as
I
I
have
say.
played, I have played at the Riddings
Have
Community
you?
Centre. Yes, I have. I was invited up there to talk last year, actually. So there you go. It's a lovely little venue. There's plenty of parking, and they're very nice people.
They're absolutely wonderful. They asked us to go, which I
Did
think is
they?
absolutely wonderful, because one of the people from there was in Gateshead and was so enthused by what was happening in Gateshead that said, "Could you come down?" And so we put it together. The venue is not as big as some of the ones we've had, so anybody that wants a ticket needs to get them, Richard, because we are very close to filling the whole show. So
Yes.
I can't we can't do more. They don't want to upset the people there. They've been so good to us. And but I don't think hope not hate or hate not hope, whichever you like to call them, will
Hope
have
not. They don't turn up.
hope. Well, they can turn up if they like. I thought they were going to turn up in Gateshead, and I looked at the audience and I thought, this lot will think breakfast has arrived. Because I
Yes.
could see one or two of our audience were rather hoping that we would have some people there. Why they think we're full of hate against everybody, which is so far from the truth.
Mm.
It beggars description, really. It beggars belief.
It really does, especially when actually what we're trying to do is to bring the knowledge to save everyone from the terrors that are being forced upon us by unelected bureaucrats who nobody's ever asked for. And actually, if these hope not hate people were to sort of listen to the arguments, they may well want to join our side, although perhaps they're taking too much money from those who are paying them to turn up. That's the sad part.
It is. And when they're in the pockets of believe it or not, the British Broadcasting Corporation. We've got other words that go in, but I
Yes.
think broadcast bullshit constantly is one of the ones that we use. But they're in the pockets of the BBC, the WEF, and the UN. All these people actually pay. They're a charity, would you believe?
Mm.
And it just, well, as I say,
I
but
mean, it's just very sad that these people are endorsing the prison that they will also be held by, and they just don't know that.
no, they don't seem to realise. They think they're the ones that are going to be saved, Richard, which is a
Mm.
bit sad, really, when you look at it. But anyway, we don't worry about people like
No,
that. But
no,
so
we
there we go.
laugh. We laugh in the face of
We do
those sort of
indeed.
people. We do.
So I'm really excited by everybody. We know what sort of day we're going to have before we start. We should be our sixth one. I think it's our fifth one now. And we're up in East Anglia in February, down in the southeast in April, and then we're going right down to the West Country, hopefully in Cornwall, and then we
Wow.
need to do the Northwest. But we got chucked out of the Northwest, if you remember, in Liverpool.
Yes. Yes, that was very
But we
shame.
must do the Northwest, So we are moving around the country.
And what about Scotland? I was in Scotland with on a Barbara O'Neill health event, and numerous people came up saying, "When are you coming up to Scotland?" And they feel like they're a little bit left out. So I don't know
I
whether
got
that's on the card.
I got to Gateshead.
Oh, yes, there you
I,
go. It's
I was
very
I
close.
wasn't far away. I tried. No, no,
No,
no, no.
absolutely. It is
We
I
must
mean,
go.
it must be very difficult, Liz, to organise so many people from all around the place, and you know, to get them all together on one day. People aren't being paid to come along and do this. That's the thing that people don't appreciate. We're not sort of on massive wages, and so if you've got to go from one end of the country to the other and stay overnight, it's quite a commitment.
Richard, everybody has been so kind in giving their time. I give mine as well. I don't take out any of expenses for myself, never have done. It's not what it's all about.
No.
My whole sort of thought is to educate as many people as possible with the alternative side to everything that's being pushed out. I believe it's the truthful side. I know you do too, and
Yes.
the people that come along probably do. It also, we could charge a lot more for our tickets. The people I want to come along are the people that haven't got much money and have got the opportunity of talking to people like yourself and Andrew and the Marks and Cassie and all these people. They should have the same opportunity as people that can spend 50 quid a ticket upwards. You know what it's like.
Yes.
So it's £9 a head, and the company I think takes say £10 a head, and we move it round so to hopefully that we get, although I've looked at the tickets, we've got some people will have been to all five venues, so that's going all around the country, so you can't say fairer than that, but it's to keep the cost down for everybody, Richard, and
Yeah.
everybody's so good at giving their time and to come and speak, so there we go.
Brilliant. Well,
So
let's leave it there because it's only a few weeks to go now. Is it something like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that?
3 weeks, Richard, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. There we are.
Yes.
Plenty of time to plan your route. Get over to East Riddings, I think you said it was called.
So
I mean,
Riddings Park Community Centre,
yes, Riddings
Riddings.
Park Community. So I have
Uh,
actually been. I'll have to go and remember how to get there.
and the
It's a lovely little place.
tickets are available on the Fat Soma website as usual. So
Yes.
I'll send those details to you.
And
Okay.
we'll put that in the description. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in the past my links in the description wasn't working, but yippee, they're working again. So thanks YouTube for letting that happen. So brilliant. Can't wait to see you. If you're coming along, do come up and say hello. We're all very approachable, which is the great thing. And we will resist the nonsense on the 9th of November. Liz, thank you so much for telling us all about it and gathering all those amazing people together in one venue.
Richard, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
And more power to you. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you there. Thank you for watching. Till next time, from Liz and I, goodbye.